Hi, I'm Andres Rodriguez, and I'm going to be doing an interview with my mom and my grandmother about their experiences with violence in Colombia.
Violence. It is the practice of disagreement that many turn to. In Colombia, violence is practically ingrained in its history and culture. It is part of the culture's norm, like going to church. However, this violence is never endorsed, and is the accepted result of disagreement between two entities. From riots to assassinations, Colombia has faced its fair share of hate-induced demonstrations. La violencia is an example of how violence has become a frequent, ingrained practice in its history. This was a period of domestic conflict where the people were divided by their political ideologies, either being a liberal or being a conservative. So much violence occurred between these groups that the Colombian Liberal Party's candidate was assassinated, sparking even more brutality. Many were persecuted for being a different ideology than the governing group.
Action.
¿Qué me puedes decir sobre la violencia que pasó en 1940?
El 45 fue mucha, que eran por los dos partidos que había, conservador y liberal. Sobre todo en la costa, no, en la parte de Colombia fue en la parte como Medellín, Cali, todos los departamentos hubo demasiado muertos, pero era por un solo partido. Porque cuando eso gobernaban eran los conservadores.
¿Dónde estabas en todo eso?
No, si yo cuando en el 45 apenas tenía yo 5 años, pero sí mi papá nos contaba porque mi papá era liberal y mi papá tuvo que esconderse. Nosotros tuvimos que vivir en una finca, como decir aquí las farms,
Sí, una finca.
escondidos por espacio de 2 años, porque a él lo buscaban para matarlo porque era de otro partido. De eso sí me acuerdo yo.
Your grandma told me that they were terrified. Yes, they didn't want to say where they belonged to, because there were two parties, and the one that it was not the strongest were afraid to say anything because they were killed by the other party.
After this period, the people began joining leftist organizations such as FARC, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Under the influence of Marxist ideology in the recent Cuban Revolution, these leftist Marxist groups have continually fought against the government in hope for systematic change. They want to stop privatization of industry, stop increased relations with the United States, and stop violence from the oppressors. However, they use tactics such as intimidation, kidnapping, bribery, and corrupting to maintain territorial control over the people.
I don't think so. It's okay because violence doesn't fix any problem. They're using the wrong way to stop these things. They kind of intimidate not only the government but the whole country. So their intentions are not too clear because they do wrong things. They do things that they make them look bad, even inside. Who knows they're fighting for, but the way that they use it are not the right ones, to me.
Today, do you think there's still a problem for the Colombian government?
There's still a problem because they don't, they're supposed to be in the process of peace, but they're asking for things, they're fighters, and then they think that could be kind of sample for the people in Colombia, but they're not. They really have to get better educated, and that's not the way. Violence is not the way to get into to govern a country.
During the 1970s, with the increased U.S. demand for these drugs, the cocaine business began to flourish and foster a period of exponential growth. One of the exploiters of this new demand for cocaine was the notorious Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar is well known for his achievements in creating the Medellin cartel, maintaining control over the government, and building the biggest drug empire of the 20th century.
Do you know who Pablo Escobar is?
Yeah, Pablo Escobar was, I think, who really discovered this magic way to make money, you know, discover the drugs. He was the one who, you know, like he built up his own emporium.
Empire.
Yeah, and yes, he controlled everything. He was the first one, who paid off to governors and ministers because the Colombian governor, they didn't have enough money. He had more money, so he was the one who started the corruption there, because he was paying a lot of money to policemen, to governor, to everybody, just to let them get the drugs, let them sell the drugs everywhere. So there wasn't any control at the ports, anything. He could do everything he wanted. And he wants to be a president, he could be a president because he had all the power from the drugs.
¿Qué no hizo Pablo Escobar? Dicen que ayudó a mucha gente, pero también hizo muchos estragos. Porque Colombia era un país siempre con sus altibajos, pero no había tanta droga ni tanta maldad. Ahí fue donde fue la bonanza hubo mucho narcotráfico, demasiados sicarios, sobre todo la juventud. Él compró, con el dinero sucio que él manejaba, compró mucha corrupción, hasta equipos de fútbol. El hombre, él pertenecía al gobierno.
Action.
¿Qué deseas para el pueblo colombiano?
Lógico, la paz, pero que sea una paz verdadera, no a medias, sino que si van a firmar o hay paz pero no a medias, para que vuelva a ser un Colombia como ha sido, porque es un país con buena gente, rico en muchas cosas, su cultura, su gente es muy buena. Eso es lo que yo quisiera.